I spent my entire life savings on 2 acres in the Blue Ridge Mountains. My sanctuary after combat left me with PTSD and shaking hands. One letter from the HOA president destroyed everything. She claimed my 3-year-old driveway suddenly violated rules that never existed before. Gave me 14 days to fix it. I offered every compromise. She rejected them all. Day 13, she showed up with trucks and buried my property under 15 tons of jagged gravel, my driveway, my gardens, the memorial stone I placed for my dead father. Everything. Then she handed me a $12,000 bill, smiled, and drove away in her white Lexus while I stood there trapped on my own land. She controlled the board, the covenants, the votes, everything. I was supposed to roll over and surrender. But she made one catastrophic mistake. She started a war with someone trained to win them. Watch until the end to see me dismantle her piece by piece. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. I need to know how many people have survived HOA horror stories like mine. The gravel crunches under my boots as I walk the property line at dawn. Mist rises off the lake like smoke. 2 acres of paradise, towering pines, emerald meadows rolling down to crystal water, wildflowers my father and I planted 3 years ago, swaying in the morning breeze. This is mine. Every dollar I saved for 20 years. Every night I couldn't sleep in Kandahar, I pictured this place. The quiet, the green, the peace. My driveway curves through the property like I designed it. Smooth river gravel, permeable, perfect drainage. I'm a landscape architect. I researched every regulation, every covenant, every county code before I laid a single stone. The HOA approved it in writing. I have the emails. 3 years. No problems. No complaints. Then the letter arrives. I'm at my drafting table, sketching a client's garden design, when I hear the mail truck. The certified mail notice makes my stomach drop before I even open it. HOA violation notice. Immediate compliance required. My hands start shaking. The words blur. Unappointed gravel driveway violates Section 7.3.2 of Community Covenants. Remove all gravel and restore to approved materials within 14 days or face penalties of $500 per day. Section 7.3.2. I grab my covenant documents, the ones I signed at closing. Flip through page after page. There is no Section 7.3.2. My section ends at 7.2.8. I read the letter again. Signed by Margaret Ashford, HOA president. The name means nothing to me. I've never met her. Never had a single interaction with the HOA beyond the original approval. I call the number listed. She answers on the first ring. Professional. Cold. HOA office, Margaret Ashford speaking. This is Jake Thompson on Lakeview Ridge. I received a violation notice about my driveway, but... Yes, Mr. Thompson. The gravel must be removed. I don't understand. It was approved 3 years ago, and the section you're citing doesn't exist in my documents. Silence. Then, the covenants were amended last year. All residents received notification. I never received any notification. That's not my problem. You have 14 days. The clock started when the letter was mailed, so technically you have 12 days remaining. My jaw clenches. Can we discuss alternatives? Different materials? I'm happy to work with. The violation is clear. Remove the gravel or face daily fines. Those are your options. She hangs up. I sit there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. The shaking in my hands spreads up my arms. I spend the next 2 hours digging through county records online. Property transfers. Meeting minutes. HOA filings. Margaret Ashford purchased the 3-acre lot adjacent to my property 6 months ago. Through an LLC. Hidden ownership. Her development plans are public record. Subdivision into 5 luxury lots. And her planned access road cuts right through where my driveway sits. She doesn't want compliance. She wants me gone. I call a real estate attorney. Leave a voicemail. Call another. Same. It's Friday afternoon. No one's answering. I stand at my window, looking at the driveway I built with my father the summer before he died. The smooth stones we placed together. The wildflowers blooming along the edges. 12 days. Margaret Ashford has no idea what she just started, but she's about to learn. Monday morning. The attorney finally calls back. His voice is tired, defeated before we even start. Mr. Thompson, I reviewed the documents you sent. Margaret Ashford held a covenant amendment meeting last March. 7 residents attended out of 42. Legal quorum. She filed everything properly with the county. I never got notice of that meeting. Notices were sent via standard mail to addresses on record. If you didn't receive it, he trails off. We both know what that means. Convenient timing. Convenient delivery failures. So what are my options? Comply or fight. Fighting means litigation. Could take 2 years. Cost you 40, maybe 50,000. And you'd probably lose. I hang up. 11 days left. I try everything. Contact other HOA board members. They don't return calls. Email Margaret with compromise proposals. Pavers instead of gravel, different stone colors, professional landscaping to screen it from view. Every email gets the same response. Violation stands. Comply or face penalties. She's CC&G the entire board, creating a paper trail, making me look difficult, unreasonable. The nights are worst. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, chest tight. The trapped feeling. The powerlessness. It's Kandahar all over again. Ambushed, surrounded, no good options. My therapist increases my sessions. The PTSD is roaring back. Day 13. I'm working in my shop, trying to distract myself, when I hear vehicles. 3 trucks pull into my driveway. A white Lexus behind them. Margaret Ashford steps out. Mid-50s, designer sunglasses, tailored blazer. 2 board members flank her like bodyguards. A contractor in a high-vis vest stands by the lead truck. I walk out, heart pounding. Mrs. Ashford, we still have 24 hours to. We're exercising emergency remediation rights. Her voice is ice. You failed to comply. The HOA is authorized to correct violations and bill residents for costs. Emergency? There's no emergency here. This is. She nods to the contractor. He climbs into the truck cab. Starts the engine. Wait, what are you doing? The truck backs up to my driveway. The bed lifts. Gravel starts pouring out. But not my gravel. Jagged construction-grade stone. Muddy. Mixed with concrete chunks and rusted rebar. Stop. You're not removing it. You're dumping on top of. The avalanche buries my driveway. Spills onto my lawn. Covers the wildflowers. Second truck. More gravel. Mountains of it. Third truck. The pile grows 3 feet high, blocking my garage, my mailbox, spreading across the memorial stone I placed for my father. I'm shouting, but the truck engines drown me out. 15 minutes. That's all it takes to destroy 3 years of work. The trucks pull away. Margaret stands there, clipboard in hand. She walks over, high heels sinking into the gravel she just dumped. Holds out an invoice. Emergency remediation, $12,000. Due within 30 days. Consider this your final warning about compliance, Mr. Thompson. I take the paper. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold it. She leans closer. Smiles. You should have just complied. The Lexus pulls away. The board members won't meet my eyes as they follow. I stand alone in the wreckage. Rain clouds gather over the mountains. And I realize Margaret Ashford just made the worst mistake of her life. The gravel mountains tower over me. 3 feet high in places. Jagged edges glinting in the fading light. I can't move my truck. Can't access my mailbox. Federal offense, but I didn't commit it. Can't reach the memorial garden where my father's stone sits buried under debris. Rain starts. Light at first, then harder. The muddy gravel begins washing down toward the lake. Brown streams cutting through my lawn. Erosion starting immediately. I call the police. Non-emergency line. This is a civil matter, sir. You'll need to contact an attorney. I call my lawyer. Voicemail. It's Friday evening. Long weekend coming. Margaret planned this perfectly. Isolated me. Trapped me. No witnesses except her chosen board members. No recourse until Tuesday at earliest. I sit on my porch as darkness falls. Rain hammering the metal roof. The sound used to comfort me. Now it feels like walls closing in. The shaking won't stop. My chest is tight. Breathing comes in short gasps. PTSD doesn't ask permission. It just takes over. I'm back in Kandahar. Pinned down. Helpless. Watching everything fall apart while people with power make decisions that destroy lives and face no consequences. Saturday bleeds into Sunday. I can't leave for groceries. The gravel blocks everything. I eat canned soup and stale crackers. Neighbors drive by slowly. Staring. No one stops. No one asks if I'm okay. Margaret's message is clear. Cross the HOA, this is what happens. And everyone's too afraid to help. Sunday afternoon, I see her white Lexus cruise past. Slow. Deliberate. She's holding up her phone. Taking photos. Of the disaster she created. building her case that I'm the problem. I watch from the window, camera recording her. Evidence. It's all I have left. Monday morning. Holiday. No county offices open. A letter arrives. A neighbor brings it to my door. Won't make eye contact. Just hands it over and hurries away. New violation notice. Improper lawn maintenance and environmental hazards observed on property. Additional fines of $300 per day effective immediately until corrected. She's citing me for the gravel she dumped. My lawyer finally calls Tuesday morning. I explain everything. The illegal dumping. The photos. The timeline. He's quiet for a long time. Jake, I'm going to be honest with you. The HOA covenants give the president broad emergency powers. Challenging this means proving she acted in bad faith. That's nearly impossible. You're looking at years of litigation and tens of thousands in legal fees. So she just wins? She destroys my property, and I pay for it. I'm sorry. I've seen this before. HOAs have incredible legal protection. My advice? Pay the cleanup costs. Comply with whatever she wants. Move on. I hang up. Stand at the window looking at my buried property. The lake beyond, still beautiful despite everything. Margaret thinks she's untouchable. Protected by covenants and board votes and expensive lawyers. She thinks I'm just another veteran with PTSD, too broken to fight back. She has no idea what I learned in 2 tours overseas. Patience. Strategy. How to gather intelligence. How to find weaknesses. How to win wars against enemies who think they've already won. I open my laptop. The counterattack begins now. I don't sleep. Can't. But for the first time in days, it's not panic keeping me awake. It's focus. Military training kicks in like muscle memory. Reconnaissance first. Know your enemy. Know the terrain. Find the weaknesses. Tuesday morning, 0600 hours. I start documenting everything. 47 photographs from every angle. Timestamps. GPS coordinates embedded in the metadata. I measure the gravel piles, depth, volume, coverage area. Calculate tonnage. 15 tons, maybe more. I photograph the concrete chunks. The rusted rebar. Pieces of broken asphalt mixed in. This isn't landscaping gravel. This is construction debris. I pull the HOA covenants Margaret amended. Read every word. Cross-reference with state property law, HOA regulations, county codes. First discovery. Emergency remediation requires 48-hour written notice to the property owner before action. Margaret gave me 20 minutes. Second discovery. The contractor invoice lists her brother-in-law's company. Richard Ashford, DBA Ashford Site Services. Every line item is inflated. Gravel delivery charged at triple market rate. Labor costs padded. She's not just corrupt. She's stealing. Third discovery. The debris she dumped. I research county environmental codes. Dumping construction materials on residential property without proper permits violates Section 12.4 of county environmental ordinances. Possible asbestos in the concrete chunks makes it hazardous waste. She didn't just harass me. She committed environmental crimes. I call the county environmental office. The clerk sounds bored until I mention potential lake contamination. Lake contamination? Which lake? Crystal Lake. Protected watershed. Someone dumped construction debris on property, draining directly into it. The boredom vanishes. We'll send an inspector tomorrow morning. Thank you. I hang up and allow myself the first real breath in days. First small victory. That night, Margaret's Lexus crawls past again. She stops this time, right in front of my property. Engine idling. I watch from the darkened window, camera recording. She sits there for 90 seconds, just staring at my house. She knows I'm planning something. Can feel it. Good. Let her worry. Thursday morning brings the email that confirms what I already suspected. Subject: Emergency HOA Board Meeting, Friday 6 p.m. Topic: Immediate property seizure discussion regarding Thompson residents at 247 Lakeview Ridge. They're accelerating, trying to force me out before I can build a defense. For days to prepare, I spend Thursday researching HOA litigation attorneys. Find one recommended by a veterans advocacy group. Sarah Mitchell specializes in cases exactly like mine. I send her everything. Every document, photo, invoice, email, recording. She calls me 2 hours later. Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed your materials. How soon can you meet? Tomorrow morning? I'll clear my schedule. Friday morning, her office. She's younger than I expected. Late 30s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. She spreads my evidence across her conference table. They violated 7 different statutes. The emergency powers clause only applies to immediate safety threats, fire hazards, structural collapse, active flooding. Gravel aesthetics don't qualify. The illegal dumping is criminal. The conflict of interest with her brother-in-law's company is fraud. And this. She holds up the timeline showing Margaret bought the adjacent property through an LLC. This proves premeditation. She orchestrated this entire scenario to force you out so she could develop her land. Can we win? Win? Jake, we're not just going to win. We're going to destroy her. Relief floods through me so hard I have to sit down. I'll take the case. Contingency basis. You don't pay unless we recover damages. The board meeting is tonight. They're discussing property seizure. Sarah smiles. Cold. Professional. Lethal. Perfect. Let's go ruin Margaret Ashford's evening. The county environmental inspector arrives Tuesday morning at 9 sharp. Rita Clemens steps out of the official truck, late 40s, weathered face, eyes that have seen every scam in the book. She walks my property with a tablet, testing equipment, zero small talk. She photographs the gravel, takes samples, measures the proximity to the lake drainage. Her expression darkens with each discovery. Mr. Thompson, this material contains prohibited substances. Concrete with possible asbestos fibers. Treated lumber fragments. Petroleum-contaminated aggregate. She looks up. Who authorized dumping this here? I hand her the documentation. Margaret's violation notice. The timeline. The contractor invoice showing her brother-in-law's company. Rita's jaw tightens as she reads. This is illegal dumping under County Code 12.4 and State Environmental Statute 7-220. I'm issuing violations against. She checks the papers. The HOA Corporation and Ashford Site Services. What kind of penalties? Starts at $25,000. Plus mandatory professional cleanup and environmental impact assessment. If we find contamination in the lake, it goes higher. The number hangs in the air. Margaret thought she was burying me. Instead, she buried herself. Wednesday, I meet Sarah again. 3-hour session mapping legal strategy. She's found more. The emergency powers clause. I pulled the legislative history. It was designed for natural disasters and immediate safety threats. Using it for aesthetic violations is abuse of authority. We have case law from 3 state Supreme Courts supporting this. She shows me precedents. HOA presidents removed from office. Personal liability judgments. Criminal charges in 2 cases. We're not just fighting back, Jake. We're dismantling her piece by piece. That afternoon, we file formal complaints with 5 agencies. County Environmental Office, State Environmental Board, State Contractor Licensing Board, Consumer Protection Agency, County Prosecutor for Fraud Investigation. Each complaint is detailed, documented, irrefutable. The trap is set. Margaret doesn't know yet. The notices won't arrive until Friday morning, 2 hours before her board meeting where she plans to seize my property. Thursday night, I review my security footage for the 10th time. Margaret driving past. Taking photos. The way she smiled handing me that invoice. Then I see something new. Frame by frame through the overnight footage. 2:17 a.m. Wednesday. A figure approaches my security cameras. Dark clothing. Face obscured by a hood. They're tampering with the equipment, trying to redirect the camera angles, reaching for the wiring. I enhance the footage. Zoom in. A woman. Build matches Margaret. Same height. Same Lexus parked down the road with lights off. She's destroying evidence. We're trying to. I call 911. Report the trespassing and tampering. File a police report. Get a case number. More documentation. More evidence of consciousness of guilt. Thursday evening, Sarah calls. Jake, I just got confirmation. All 5 agencies accepted the complaints. They're opening investigations. The county prosecutor is particularly interested in the fraud aspects, inflated invoices, conflict of interest, misuse of HOA funds. How long before Margaret finds out? Official notices go out tomorrow morning. Certified mail. She'll get them around 10 a.m. The board meeting is at 6 p.m. 8 hours for Margaret to panic before facing me in person. I spend Friday preparing. Print every document. Organize evidence packets. Practice staying calm. Sarah arrives at my house at 5. We drive to the community center together. Remember, she says as we park. Let me handle the legal arguments. You just tell your story. The human side. What she did to you. How it felt. I nod. My hands are steady for the first time in weeks. We walk toward the building. Through the windows, I can see Margaret already inside, setting up at the head table. She has no idea what's about to hit her. This isn't a board meeting anymore. It's a reckoning. The community center overlooks Crystal Lake. Sunset paints the water gold and crimson. Beautiful, peaceful, ironic. Inside, tension crackles like electricity. 12 board members sit in a semicircle. Margaret at the center, perfectly composed. Tailored navy suit. Hair immaculate. She's transformed the space into her courtroom. 40-plus residents pack the gallery. Some faces show support. Most show fear. Everyone knows what happens when you cross Margaret Ashford. Sarah and I take seats in the front row. Margaret's eyes flick to us. Brief confusion. She expected me alone, defeated. The meeting starts at 6 sharp. Margaret runs it like a prosecutor. Professional. Cold. Efficient. Item 7 on tonight's agenda. Emergency property action regarding 247 Lakeview Ridge, owned by Jacob Thompson. She presents her case with brutal precision. Photos of my property, the gravel disaster she created, framed as my negligence. Violation notices. Unpaid fines now totaling $14,000. Mr. Thompson has repeatedly failed to comply with community standards. He's created environmental hazards, ignored board directives, refused to cooperate with remediation efforts. Several board members nod. They've heard this story. Believe it. She displays more photos. One she took Sunday. The gravel washing toward the lake. My buried gardens. This level of non-compliance threatens our entire community. Property values. Environmental integrity. The safety of Crystal Lake itself. A resident in back gasps. Margaret's narrative is working. She's the protector. I'm the threat. Therefore, I'm recommending immediate action. A lien on the property for all outstanding fines and remediation costs. If not paid within 60 days, we authorize foreclosure proceedings. The room goes silent. This isn't a fine. This is seizure. Margaret looks directly at me. Triumph in her eyes. All in favor of authorizing. Sarah stands. Point of order. Margaret's smile freezes. Excuse me. Before this board votes on anything, you need to see these. Sarah produces 12 manila folders. Hands them to each board member personally. What is this? Margaret's voice has an edge now. Evidence. Documentation. Legal notices that should have been disclosed before calling this meeting. Board members open the folders. Start reading. The confusion spreads like ripples. Margaret grabs a folder. Her face drains of color as she reads. County Environmental Violation Notice. State Investigation Letter. Contractor Licensing Board Inquiry. Consumer Protection Agency Complaint. Each one naming her personally and the HOA Corporation. The room erupts in murmurs. George Patterson, the elderly treasurer, stands slowly. Margaret, what is this about illegal dumping? Sarah's voice cuts through the noise. Calm. Professional. Lethal. Mrs. Ashford violated 6 state environmental statutes when she dumped construction debris on Mr. Thompson's property last Friday. The County Environmental Office has documented asbestos-contaminated materials, petroleum products, and hazardous waste, all illegally disposed of without permits. Margaret tries to speak. Nothing comes out. Sarah continues. The contractor she used? Her brother-in-law, Richard Ashford. Every invoice was inflated, triple market rate for materials, padded labor costs. Fraud against HOA funds. The State Contractor Licensing Board is investigating. She pulls out more documents. The emergency powers Mrs. Ashford invoked? They require 48-hour written notice. She gave Mr. Thompson 20 minutes. State law is clear. That's abuse of authority. Another board member, a woman named Carol, flips through pages. Margaret, did you really buy the adjacent property without disclosing the conflict of interest? The room holds its breath. Margaret's perfect composure cracks. Her hands shake. These are procedural complaints. Nothing. These are criminal referrals. Sarah's voice is steel. The county prosecutor is reviewing charges for environmental crimes, fraud, and abuse of office. The silence is deafening. Then George stands again, shaking, angry. Did you really use your brother-in-law's company without board approval? Margaret says nothing. And in that silence, her empire begins to collapse. George's question hangs in the air like smoke after gunfire. Margaret opens her mouth, closes it. For the first time since I've known her name, She has no answer. Carol flips through more pages, her face reddening. Margaret, these meeting notices you said you sent out for the covenant amendments. I never received mine. Did anyone else get notification? Silence. Then heads shaking around the room. Residents looking at each other with dawning realization. You told us those meetings were canceled, George says quietly. His voice trembles with anger. Snow days. Scheduling conflicts. We trusted you. Margaret's mask shatters completely. I followed proper procedure. Legal quorum was. Legal doesn't mean ethical. Sarah pulls out another document. Mrs. Ashford purchased the adjacent 3 acres through Ashford Holdings LLC 6 months ago. Hidden ownership to avoid disclosure requirements. Her development plans require access through Mr. Thompson's driveway. When he wouldn't sell, she manufactured violations to force him out. The room explodes. Residents shouting questions. Board members demanding answers. Sarah raises her voice. The property purchase records are public. The subdivision plans are filed with the county. Everything she's done, the covenant amendments, the violation notices, the illegal dumping, it was all designed to seize his land for her personal profit. Margaret stands abruptly. Chair scraping. You don't understand the full picture. That property was blocking essential infrastructure. My home. My voice cuts through the chaos. Everyone turns. You're calling my home infrastructure. The place I bought with 20 years of savings. Where I scattered my father's ashes. Where I go to heal from nightmares about Afghanistan. Margaret's face hardens. This is business, Mr. Thompson. Nothing personal. You buried my father's memorial stone under 15 tons of garbage. You trapped me on my own property. You smiled while handing me a $12,000 bill for destruction you caused. My hands are steady. My voice is steel. That's personal. 3 board members stand simultaneously. I resign, one says. Effective immediately. I won't be part of this. Motion to suspend Margaret Ashford pending full investigation, George announces. Second, Carol adds. Margaret's face goes white. You can't. All in favor. 9 hands rise. Only Margaret and 2 loyal allies remain seated. The motion passes. Margaret, you're suspended from all HOA duties effective immediately. She stands there, shaking. The perfect control dissolving into rage. You'll regret this. Every single one of you. I have lawyers. I have resources. This isn't over. But her voice wavers. She knows the truth. She's lost. She grabs her briefcase. Walks toward the door. High heels clicking on tile. She pauses next to me. Leans close enough that only I can hear. You think you've won? I still own that land. I'll make your life hell. Every single day. She walks out. Door slamming. The room erupts in conversation. Sarah squeezes my shoulder. George approaches, hand extended. Mr. Thompson, on behalf of the board, I apologize. We failed you. We should have questioned her months ago. I shake his hand. Accept the apology. But I know Margaret. Know her type. Cornered animals are most dangerous. This isn't victory. This is the beginning of her real attack. And I'm ready. The weekend feels like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Calm. Temporary. Deadly. I can't relax. Can't breathe easy. Margaret's too smart, too ruthless to surrender quietly. Sunday morning proves me right. A county inspector appears at my door. Different from Rita. Younger. Apologetic, but firm. Mr. Thompson, I'm following up on complaints filed about your property. Unpermitted structures, zoning violations, potential water rights issues. My stomach drops. Complaints from who? Anonymous. But I'm required to investigate. He shows me the list. Workshop allegedly built without permits. Driveway supposedly violating setback requirements. Garden irrigation claimed to be illegally tapping protected watershed. Every single complaint is false. But each one requires surveys, documentation, engineering reports to disprove. Expensive. Time-consuming. Harassing. Margaret's fingerprints are all over this. I understand you have to follow up, I tell him. I'll get you everything you need. He nods sympathetically. For what it's worth, I heard what happened at that board meeting. This feels like retaliation. It is. But I'll prove everything's legal. He leaves. I call Sarah immediately. More harassment, she says. Document everything. We'll add it to the lawsuit. Monday brings worse news. 3 of my landscape architecture clients cancel contracts. All within 2 hours. I call the first one. Jim, what happened? The Miller project was going great. Uncomfortable pause. Jake, I heard you're involved in some legal issues. HOA disputes, Property violations. I can't have that associated with my business. Those complaints are false. Retaliation from. I'm sorry. I have to protect my reputation. The other two give similar excuses. Vague references to concerning legal problems they heard about. Margaret's spreading poison. Destroying my professional reputation while I'm focused on defending my home. Tuesday morning shatters me completely. I walk out to check the memorial garden, the section I've been slowly uncovering from the gravel. Someone destroyed it overnight. Plants ripped from the soil. My father's memorial stone spray painted with crude insults. The carefully cultivated moss garden trampled to mud. My hands shake so badly I drop my phone trying to call the police. The security cameras were offline during the exact window. 2 hours. Sophisticated jamming equipment. This wasn't random vandalism. This was calculated cruelty designed to break me. I sit on the ground next to my father's defaced stone and feel everything crack. The PTSD roars back full force. Chest tight. Can't breathe. Hands shaking. Vision tunneling. I'm back in Afghanistan. Helpless. Watching everything I care about get destroyed while people in power face no consequences. My therapist squeezes me in for an emergency session that afternoon. Recommends medication for acute anxiety. I'm spiraling and everyone can see it. That night, I'm at my lowest point. Sitting by the dark lake, seriously considering selling everything and leaving. Just surrendering. Margaret wins. I lose. Story over. My phone rings. Unknown number. Mr. Thompson? This is Rita Clemens from County Environmental. Rita. Hi. I need you to hear something. She sounds excited. I was at the county office this morning processing permits. Margaret Ashford came in for her subdivision application. I had her on speaker, standard procedure for permit consultations. She plays the recording. Margaret's voice. Crystal clear. Arrogant. The veteran next door? He's finished. My lawyer says we can bury him in legal fees. Make his life such hell he'll beg to sell. Then I'll have the access road I need and he'll be someone else's problem. Laughter. Then, the memorial garden thing was genius. Nothing illegal about it, but it broke him. You should have seen the security footage, just sitting there in the dirt like a broken dog. Rita stops the playback. She admitted conspiracy to vandalize. Admitted using legal harassment as a weapon. All on official county recording equipment. For the first time in days, I smile. Rita, can I get a copy of that? Already sent it to your lawyer. Bury her, Jake. Sarah listens to the recording 3 times. Each playback makes her smile grow wider. This is prosecutorial gold. Admission of conspiracy. Confession to harassment. Abuse of legal process. Jake, she just handed us everything. My hands are steady for the first time in weeks. The hunter, not the hunted. What's our next move? We file an amended lawsuit Thursday morning. Add punitive damages, intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil conspiracy. Then we send this recording to the county prosecutor and state attorney general. Wednesday night, I barely sleep. Not from anxiety. From anticipation. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. Sarah files the expanded lawsuit at the county courthouse. By noon, it hits local media. HOA president accused of targeting disabled veteran. The story spreads like wildfire. Local news stations pick it up. My phone won't stop ringing with interview requests. I tell my story to Channel 7. The gravel dumping. The harassment. Margaret's schemes. The memorial garden vandalism. The reporter's eyes widen with each detail. Do you have documentation? I show her everything. Photos. Videos. The recording. This airs tonight, she says. And I'm forwarding this to our investigative team. Friday morning, the story explodes. Regional news. Statewide coverage. Veterans advocacy groups sharing it on social media. The comment sections flood with outrage. HOAs are out of control. This veteran deserves justice. Margaret Ashford should be in jail. By Saturday afternoon, protesters gather outside the HOA office. Veterans groups. Civil rights advocates. Residents Margaret victimized over the years. People too afraid to speak before, now finding courage in numbers. 50 people holding signs. Justice for Jake. HOAs aren't dictatorships. Investigate Ashford. Margaret arrives for what she thinks is a private board meeting. She has to walk through the crowd. Protesters shouting questions. Cameras recording. Her face burns red with humiliation. I watch from across the street. Sarah beside me. How does it feel, she asks. Like breathing again. Inside the community center, The emergency board session lasts 90 minutes. George texts me updates. Motion to suspend Margaret passes 9-1. Motion to hire independent auditor for all HOA finances passes unanimously. Motion to rescind all violation notices against my property passes 10-0. Margaret walks out alone. Board members won't even look at her. She sees me standing there. Walks over. Jaw tight. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I still own the adjacent property. I'll develop it. I'll make sure you see construction trucks every day for the next 5 years. Your permits were suspended yesterday. EPA review for wetlands violations. Army Corps of Engineers investigating. Your development's dead, Margaret. Her face goes white. What? Those environmental complaints you thought were minor? State and federal agencies took them seriously. Full investigation. 12 to 18 months minimum. I step closer. Keep my voice low. Calm. Your loans come due in 90 days. Your brother-in-law's company is under investigation. Your husband filed for separation. I saw the court records. You're not fighting me anymore. You're fighting reality. She stands there, speechless. The ice queen melting. You could have just left me alone, I say. Could have built your development without destroying mine. But you had to make it personal. Had to try to break me. I turn to walk away. Stop. Look back. I'm a veteran, Margaret. I learned patience in places where mistakes cost lives. You picked a fight with the wrong person. Her empire crumbling around her. And she knows it. Justice tastes like mountain air. Clean. Pure. Earned. Margaret's world collapses in slow motion. Monday. Her brother-in-law's contracting company loses its state license. Investigation reveals years of overbilling, unpermitted work, safety violations. Tuesday. The HOA's insurance carrier cancels coverage. Too much liability exposure from Margaret's actions. Special assessments required for all residents to maintain basic insurance. 42 families suddenly paying extra fees because of her. The residents who stayed silent? They're furious now. It's hitting their wallets. Wednesday, Margaret's husband files for legal separation. Court documents show he's protecting his assets from her mounting legal exposure. She's alone, isolated, desperate. Thursday afternoon, she calls me directly. Mr. Thompson, I think we can resolve this. Adult to adult. I put her on speaker. Sarah's recording. I'm listening. I'll offer you $150,000. You drop all complaints, all lawsuits. Sell me your property at current market value. We both move on. So I give you everything you wanted from the start. It's a generous offer. More than fair considering. Considering you tried to destroy my life? Silence. This was never about money, Margaret. This was about you thinking you could crush someone weaker than you. Someone isolated. Someone with PTSD you thought was broken. I never. You picked wrong. The answer is no. I hang up. 2 hours later, she shows up at my property. No Lexus this time. Older sedan. Borrowed maybe. She looks different. Hair uncombed. Makeup smudged. The polish gone. Please, she says through my security camera intercom. I'm begging you. Drop the lawsuits. I'll leave the HOA. I'll sell the adjacent property. Just stop. You vandalized my father's memorial. You smiled while destroying my home. You call me a broken dog. Her face crumbles. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I want you to face consequences. She starts crying. Real tears. Not manipulation. Genuine despair. You've destroyed my life. My marriage. My reputation. Everything. No, Margaret. You destroyed your own life. I just documented it. She stands there sobbing. Then rage replaces tears. You think this is over? You think I'll just disappear? I'll fight you until. My security camera catches her screaming. Unhinged. The mask completely gone. Neighbors call the police. They escort her off my property. Issue a restraining order. No contact. Stay 500 feet away. She's officially unraveling. The legal battles conclude rapidly after that. County prosecutes environmental violations. $78,000 in fines plus mandatory cleanup costs. My civil lawsuit settles. The HOA's new board votes to pay me $240,000 for damages, legal fees, and suffering. Insurance covers most of it. Margaret personally settles for $180,000. Her lawyer negotiates it. She never speaks to me again. The money's deposited into my account by the end of the month. But the real victory comes 2 weeks later. Margaret's forced to sell the adjacent property. The development dream's dead. EPA violations killed the permits permanently. I researched the buyer. Conservation Trust. They're converting the land to protected wetlands. Permanent preservation. No development. Ever. Margaret's 3 acres will stay wild forever. She lost everything. The land, the money, the dream. The HOA holds elections. New board. New rules. Term limits. Financial oversight. Transparency requirements. George becomes president. His first act, publicly apologize to me and reform every policy Margaret corrupted. Margaret moves away within 30 days. No forwarding address. Just gone. And I'm finally free. The weeks after Margaret's departure feel surreal. Quiet. Almost too quiet. My property slowly heals. Professional cleanup crews remove the illegal gravel, paid for by Margaret's settlement. They find more violations underneath. Petroleum contamination. Chemical residue. Everything documented for the EPA investigation. The fines against her keep growing. My neighbors start waving again. Some stop to apologize. We should have helped earlier. We were afraid. I understand fear. Don't hold grudges against people who were victims too. But Margaret's story isn't finished yet. She makes one final, desperate attempt. Her lawyer contacts Sarah. Confidential settlement offer. Margaret will pay an additional $50,000 if I sign a non-disclosure agreement. Never speak about what happened. Delete all social media posts. Withdraw cooperation from the criminal investigations. She's trying to bury the story, Sarah explains. Protect what's left of her reputation. What happens if I refuse? The criminal investigations continue. Her name stays public. She faces possible jail time for the environmental violations. I don't hesitate. No deal. Sarah smiles. Good. Because she deserves everything coming to her. The county prosecutor moves forward. Charges filed. Illegal dumping, environmental crimes, fraud, abuse of office. Margaret pleads guilty to reduced charges. Avoids jail but gets 3 years probation, community service, permanent ban from serving on any HOA board in the state. Her contractor brother-in-law faces worse. License revoked. Criminal charges for fraud. He settles for restitution plus guilty plea. The local news covers the sentencing. I watch Margaret stand before the judge. Shoulders slumped. Voice barely audible. I take full responsibility for my actions. The judge isn't sympathetic. You abused power. Targeted a disabled veteran. Committed environmental crimes. Defrauded your community. 3 years probation. 1,200 hours community service. $78,000 in restitution. This court will not tolerate corruption. The gavel falls. Justice. Real. Legal. Final. Margaret leaves the courthouse. Photographers waiting. She covers her face. Hurries to a waiting car. I watch from across the street. Sarah beside me. How do you feel? She asks. Like I can finally sleep. The property sells within weeks, her adjacent land. The Conservation Trust pays fair market value. Margaret loses hundreds of thousands she'd planned to make from development. The Trust's first act, naming the preserved wetlands. Thompson Wetlands Preserve. They install a plaque. My father's name included. In honor of those who fought to protect this land. I stand there reading it. Tears in my eyes. First time I've cried since this started. But they're good tears. Healing tears. The HOA undergoes complete transformation. New bylaws. Financial transparency. Every decision requires majority vote from residents, not just board members. George implements changes Margaret fought against for years. Reasonable rules. Fair enforcement. Actual community building. People start attending meetings again. Volunteering. Caring. The toxicity Margaret created, gone. 3 months after her sentencing, I receive a letter. No return address. Postmarked from 2 states away. Handwritten. Margaret's writing. I'm sorry for what I did. I was wrong. I hope you find peace. Nothing else. No excuses. No justifications. Just an apology years too late. I read it twice. Then burn it in my fireplace. Some things don't need forgiveness. They just need to end. And this has ended. Finally. Completely. Permanently. 6 months later. Early autumn. The Blue Ridge Mountains explode in color. Crimson maples, golden aspens, amber oaks. The lake reflects it all like a mirror. My property is transformed. Better than before. The gravel disaster became an opportunity. Professional environmental assessment revealed drainage issues I didn't know existed. Fixed them properly. Regrade. Installed French drains. permeable pavers. The new driveway curves through native plantings, butterfly weed, coneflowers, black-eyed Susans. Sarah helped design it. We became friends through the battle. Real friends. The memorial garden is rebuilt. Expanded. Beautiful stone walls surrounding my father's monument. Cleaned, restored, protected. Benches overlook the lake. I sit there most evenings. Watch the sunset paint the water gold. Peace. Real peace. Hard-earned peace. The legal settlements funded everything. $240,000 from the HOA. $180,000 from Margaret. After Sarah's contingency fee and expenses, I had enough to restore the property, upgrade everything, and still bank substantial savings. My landscape architecture business thrives. The media coverage brought clients who appreciate integrity. I hired 2 employees, both veterans. We're building something good. The community transformed too. The new HOA board isn't perfect, but they're honest. George runs it with fairness. No more secret amendments. No more power games. Just neighbors trying to maintain a beautiful place. Rita, the environmental inspector who helped me, became a friend. She monitors the Thompson Wetlands Preserve quarterly. The land is healing. Protected. Forever wild. Margaret's development plans are buried in county archives. Historical footnotes about corruption defeated. I never saw her again after the sentencing. Heard she moved to another state. Started over somewhere nobody knows her name. Part of me hopes she found peace too. Learned something. But mostly, I don't think about her anymore. She's not worth the mental space. This morning, I'm working in my shop when a client calls. Small commercial project. Good money. Creative freedom. Life is normal again. Better than normal. I walk outside, coffee in hand. Morning mist rises off the lake. Deer graze near the wetlands preserve. A hawk circles overhead. This sanctuary I fought for, it's mine. Truly mine. Earned through patience, strategy, and refusing to surrender to bullies. My hands are steady. The PTSD hasn't vanished, probably never will completely. But I have tools now. Therapy, community, purpose. The nightmares come less frequently. The shaking stopped. I sleep through the night most days. I think about everything that happened. The gravel dumping, the harassment, the fear, the fight. And I realize something important. Margaret thought she was destroying a broken veteran. Someone easy to crush. She never understood that being broken and being defeated are different things. I was broken by war, but I learned how to fight anyway, how to strategize, how to outlast enemies who thought they'd already won. She picked the wrong target, and she paid for that mistake with everything she valued. This story isn't just about HOA corruption. It's about standing your ground when powerful people try to take what's yours. It's about fighting smart, not just hard. It's about patience, strategy, refusing to quit even when you're terrified. If you're facing something similar, an HOA, a bully, anyone abusing power, document everything. Find good lawyers. Use the system against people who think they own it. And never, ever surrender just because they expect you to. My father taught me that battles aren't won by the strongest. They're won by whoever refuses to quit. I refused to quit. And I won. If this story meant something to you, hit that like button. Let me know I'm not alone in fighting these battles. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to stand up to someone who thought they were untouchable. Your story matters. Share it. Let's build a community of people who refuse to be victims. Because that's how we win. Together.